Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Best Online Medical Lectures. In the last 5 videos of insulin physiology, we have discussed about the source of secretion of insulin, its chemical structure, its synthesis and mechanism of action of insulin, also the regulation, and also in the last video we have discussed about the functions of insulin, that is the effect of insulin on carbohydrate metabolism. So we will continue the effect of insulin on adipose tissue or the fat metabolism. So this is one of the functions of insulin, effect of insulin on fat metabolism. So in the last class we have discussed about the effect of insulin on the carbohydrate metabolism. Okay, so guys, please give your kind concentration. This video might be a bit lengthy because we are going to actually go in minute details how exactly the glucose what we eat through our diet, that is the carbohydrates what we eat through the diet, how insulin helps in storage of fat. Okay, so before I start, I'll let you know first. So first, whatever food we eat, for example carbohydrates in the form of rice, okay, so this carbohydrate from the blood is taken by the main target organs of the insulin, like liver, adipose tissues and the skeletal muscle, and it is used for energy production. So once the energy production is what is required for the cell is attained, then the excess amount of the glucose is stored in the form of glycogen. So the glycogen maximum we can store up to 400 to 500 grams of glycogen or glucose. Okay, then after that whatever excess amount of the glucose which we eat and it is there in the blood, it gets utilized and converted into fat. How this glucose is converted into fat, we are going to discuss today. That is the effect of insulin on fat metabolism. Okay, so consider this as an hypothetical cell. Okay, so what I am going to draw a hypothetical liver cell more specifically. Okay, a hypothetical liver cell. Okay, let us consider this a hypothetical liver cell. Okay, so in the liver cell or hepatocyte, so I am going to draw a mitochondria here because we are going to actually discuss the chemical pathways which will lead to the formation of the or deposition of the triglycerides, how from the glucose triglycerides or fatty acids and finally the triglycerides are formed. Okay, so consider this hypothetical cell a liver cell or a hepatocyte. Okay, so as you know from the diet, that is from the blood vessel, the glucose will enter into the liver cell. Glucose will enter into the liver cell with the help of one very important transporter. That transporter is, if you remember, it is GLUT2. Okay, so the transporter is GLUT2. Okay, so here the marker pen, there is a bit leakage. Anyway, just excuse me. So the glucose once enter into the liver cell, it enters with the help of GLUT2. Okay, then this glucose immediately it gets converted into glucose 6-phosphate with the help of one enzyme. That enzyme is glucokinase. Okay, glucokinase, and in the skeletal muscle and adipose tissue it is glucokinase, that is hexokinase. Okay, so glucokinase is a type of hexokinase. It is also known as hexokinase 4. So glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate. What we are going to discuss is the same thing which we have discussed in the last class also. So it is just the glycolysis pathway. So once the glucose enters the liver cell, so this action of the glucokinase is mainly with the help of, or it is due to the action of insulin on its insulin receptor. So on the cell membrane, if you remember, the insulin receptors are present. So these insulin receptors have two units, alpha subunits and beta subunits, and these alpha subunits are connected to each other by the disulfide linkage, and also these beta subunits by the disulfide linkage. So when the insulin molecule binds with this receptor, it leads to the changes in the cell membrane changes. Then it leads to the changes in the metabolic machinery in the cytoplasm. Also it leads to the changes in the nucleus, that is it leads to the transcription and translation process and formation of the new enzymes and proteins. Okay, we have already discussed that. So now what we are going to discuss is, so this insulin, once it binds, it will increases this process of glycolysis, which we have discussed again. Once again I am highlighting that to understand how this glucose is ultimately converted into fat, that is the storage form, it is the triglycerides. Okay, so this glycolysis pathway, I am going to skip the other many steps, but I am only going to write the very important steps. So this glucose 6-phosphate converted into fructose 6-phosphate, then this fructose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, and this fructose 1,6-bisphosphate here, important step. Okay, so here this fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and one more chemical, dihydroxyacetone phosphate. I am just writing in short DHAP. Okay, now these glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will undergo so many processes, and ultimately phosphoenol pyruvate is formed, and from that after phosphoenol pyruvate is formed. Okay, so the ultimately from after phosphoenol pyruvate is formed. Okay, so this occurs in cytoplasm. Okay, so this is the glycolytic pathway. So I'll just draw this green color thing is mitochondria. Just imagine this as a mitochondria of a cell. So whatever this process glycolysis is taking place in this cytoplasm of a hepatocyte. Okay, now there are so many enzymes that takes part in this process of glycolysis, but we will just highlight the important ones. For this, insulin will stimulate this. One is glucokinase. Okay, so another one here is at this stage fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, that is phosphofructokinase. It's stimulated by insulin. Then this phosphoenol pyruvate is converted to pyruvate by the enzyme pyruvate kinase. Okay, so what I have just now explained or highlighted this with the help of this flow chart or diagram, it is the process of glycolysis. Okay, so I'll just once again I'll write the enzymes which are stimulated and inhibited by the insulin in the for the fat metabolism. Okay, so that is the glucokinase, phosphofructokinase, and pyruvate kinase. So three enzymes I'll just write once again here so that it can be very much clear. So it will stimulate these enzymes of glycolysis, glucokinase, then phosphofructokinase, and then pyruvate kinase. Okay, so all these enzymes are stimulated by the glucose, and these enzymes are of glycolysis pathway, and these are in this cytosol or cytoplasm. Okay, so this pathway of glycolysis takes place in this cytoplasm. Now so this pyruvate which is formed at, that is the end product of glycolytic pathway, this pyruvate will enter into the mitochondria. Okay, and this pyruvate will undergo the process of Krebs cycle. Okay, so this pyruvate will undergo the process of Krebs cycle. How it is? It will undergo the process of Krebs cycle. So this pyruvate will gets converted into very important compound known as acetyl-CoA. Okay. Now acetyl-CoA is from pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. One enzyme converts pyruvate to acetyl CoA, that is the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. So pyruvate this is taking place in the mitochondria, or just simply dehydrogenase. Okay, pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Okay, so this enzyme pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, or just pyruvate dehydrogenase, will convert pyruvate to acetyl CoA. So the acetyl CoA is basically a 2-carbon compound, whereas glucose is a 6-carbon compound. Okay, hope this fact is clear. Now this acetyl CoA undergoes the second metabolic pathway, that is the Krebs cycle, okay, or the citric acid cycle, or TCA cycle. Okay, so this acetyl CoA gets converted into citrate. This acetyl CoA gets converted into citrate. One more important compound, citrate. Now, so for the formation of this citrate, this acetyl CoA has to combine with one more intermediate, oxaloacetate. Okay, oxaloacetate, oxaloacetic acid or oxaloacetate. Okay, that is a 4-carbon compound. Okay, so this conversion of acetyl CoA into citrate is with the help of the enzyme citrate synthase. Okay, citrate synthase. Now this citrate gets converted into isocitrate. Now this isocitrate and citrate are interconvertible. Okay, then this isocitrate gets converted into so many other intermediate compounds will be there. I will just highlight the very important ones: alpha ketoglutarate, and again there will be so many intermediate, and ultimately this cycle it will convert into oxaloacetate, and this Krebs cycle will go on, and it leads to the formation of the energy. Okay, so the ultimate purpose of this metabolism, that is after the entry of the glucose, is to metabolize it and use for the energy, and use for the process of energy. Now, so as I said in the starting of the lecture, see, there will be 3 groups of glucose will enter. That is the first group of glucose, first entry, or the first group of the glucose what is entered into the liver cell after a diet. That is when we take a good meal, so when we take a good amount of the food, then the glucose level is increases in the blood, that is after the absorption of the GI tract. So that first glucose which enters, that is the first quantity of the glucose or the amount of the glucose which enters first group, it will gets converted into the energy, that is it will undergo this glycolysis pathway, and it will also undergoes the process of Krebs cycle. Okay, now once this sufficient energy for the cell is produced, that is glucose will generate so many ATP. So ultimately ATP or NADH, that is the high energy molecules, are produced by this conversion by this Krebs cycle and all. Once that is attained, then what will happen to the next coming glucose? That is, once sufficient energy is produced, the cells don't require so much energy. So the second molecules which are formed, so that will get converted into glycogen, that is the storage form, glycogen. We have discussed that also with the help of the enzyme glycogen synthase. Okay, glycogen synthase. Now again, this glycogen synthase from this glucose 6-phosphate, so many process, that is the metabolite, is the glycogenesis, the process of glycogenesis. Ultimately glycogen is formed and stored. Now again there is a limit that a liver can store up to 5 to 8% of its weight. Okay, so roughly it will be around 100 grams, I think. So roughly 100 grams, 5 to 6% the liver can store glycogen. Then after that storage also attained, then the next coming glucose which is coming inside the cell, which is facilitated by this insulin, they are ultimately stored in the form of triglycerides, or also known as triacylglycerol, okay, or triglyceride simply. Okay, so they are the storage form. So how this glucose molecule gets converted into triglycerides, and it will not stored in the liver, it will be stored in the hepatocyte. And how this triglycerides, but it is formed in the liver and stored in the hepatocytes, what we are going to discuss on this effect of insulin on fat metabolism today. So the third group of, that is first group, will form the energy. When sufficient energy is there, it will lead to the glycogen formation or storage. Now the sufficient energy it is there, then this glycogen is also stored, it has attained its limit. Then the third group of the glucose, that is finally that excess glucose coming, it will form into fats. Now fats we can store in kgs, okay. So as I said, glycogen we can just store maximum 500 gram of from a normal adult, okay, from muscle and the liver totally roughly around half kg. But this fat we can store up to 10 kg, 20 kg. That is, you can see the increase in the weight of a person when someone eats food. Why the weight will increase? That is, ultimately all that carbohydrates are converted into triglyceride, that is the storage form, and these triglycerides molecules are stored in the adipose tissue, and this adipose tissue can expand and increases the weight. Okay, so you can see that the weight increase because of the adipose tissue. Now how this glucose molecule gets converted into triglycerides, and these triglycerides, how it is transported to the adipose tissue, what we are going to discuss now. Okay, so come back to this thing, glycolysis and this Krebs cycle. So energy is generated. Now here, for the formation of this triglycerides, the important substrate is acetyl-CoA. Okay, acetyl-CoA. So from this acetyl-CoA there are so many steps, that is the de novo synthesis. The main substrate is acetyl-CoA. So this 2 carbon compound. So this, from this acetyl-CoA, ultimately triglycerides or triacylglycerol are formed. Okay, so the substrate is acetyl-CoA. Now there is a problem. So this acetyl-CoA is in the mitochondria. So this acetyl-CoA can't be transferred, means this can't directly be transferred into this cytosol, and this synthesis of the fatty acids or the triacylglycerol or the triglycerides takes place in this cytoplasm. Okay, that is known as de novo synthesis of fatty acids, or ultimately triacylglycerol. Now this acetyl-CoA can't directly crosses this mitochondrial membrane. So how it will now, when this how mitochondria will recognizes that this, when it has to stop, because energy production will be there. So the rate limiting step is this one, conversion of isocitrate to alpha ketoglutarate. That is the rate limiting step, that is catalyzed by the enzyme isocitrate dehydrogenase. So this is the rate limiting enzyme, isocitrate dehydrogenase. So here mitochondria have to decide whether to continue this Krebs cycle or to stop this and send this citrate molecule into the cytoplasm. Okay, now citrate molecule can cross this mitochondrial membrane, but not this acetyl-CoA. Okay, so this citrate molecule can go out and gets converted into acetyl-CoA. How, we are going to discuss now. So before that, remember this very important enzyme, isocitrate dehydrogenase, okay, which converts isocitrate into alpha ketoglutarate. Okay, so whenever there is high energy, that is when the glucose is coming ultimately through this Krebs cycle glycolysis, so many ATP molecules are generated. So when there is high amount of energy in this cell, that is high amount of the ATP or high NADH, that is the high energy compounds, then this will block this or inhibit this enzyme isocitrate dehydrogenase. Okay, isocitrate dehydrogenase, and this cycle is blocked here, and this isocitrate is interconvertible into citrate, and the citrate molecule can crosses this mitochondrial membrane and can enter into the cytoplasm. Whereas the low energy molecules like ADP, whenever the cell or in the mitochondria there is high amount of ADP or NAD, then this will stimulate the isocitrate dehydrogenase and it will convert into this alpha ketoglutarate, as that is the Krebs cycle will continue and liberate the energy, formation of energy. But when there is sufficient energy, this enzyme is blocked and it will lead to the formation of fatty acids and ultimately triglycerides. So again I will just highlight the enzymes that will be stimulated and inhibited by the insulin. So this was in the cytosol, it is glycolysis. We have seen these three enzymes are stimulated by the insulin. Then here I'll write the fourth enzyme, that is this pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. It's taking place in the mitochondria now. Pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Then this molecule which this enzyme converts acetyl CoA to citrate, that is the citrate synthase. Citrate synthase. So these are stimulated by insulin. Okay. Now this enzyme, that is the isocitrate dehydrogenase, now it is inhibited by the insulin. So this is the first enzyme now in the series of the enzymes of this pathway which is inhibited by the insulin for the fat metabolism. So what is this enzyme? Isocitrate dehydrogenase. Isocitrate dehydrogenase. So you can see this second three set of the enzymes are present in the mitochondria. And out of that, two will stimulated by the insulin and the third one will be inhibited by the insulin. Okay. Now when there is a high amount, as I already said, when there is a high amount of the energy molecule, that is ATP and ADP, this will get inhibited by, that is isocitrate dehydrogenase, and isocitrate gets converted into citrate and citrate molecule gets come out into the cytoplasm. Now this citrate molecule which comes into the cytoplasm once again gets converted into oxaloacetate and acetyl CoA. Okay, so the citrate molecule gets converted into acetyl CoA and oxaloacetate, and this oxaloacetate by some special mechanism it will come back into the mitochondria. Okay, we are not going to discuss about this now. We are going to discuss now about this very important molecule, acetyl CoA. Now this reaction of conversion of citrate into this one, acetyl CoA, so ATP citrate lyase, so this is catalyzed by enzyme ATP citrate lyase, that is in the cytoplasm, which is stimulated by the insulin. So citrate gets converted into acetyl CoA. So I will write here only. So ATP citrate lyase. Okay. Now this is also stimulated, but this is again in the cytoplasm. Now the most important one. Now the most important one is this acetyl CoA. This acetyl CoA molecule or the compound gets converted into malonyl CoA. Again, this reaction is actually it is a carboxylation reaction, is catalyzed by the enzyme acetyl CoA carboxylase, that is carboxylase carbon dioxide entry, so carboxylase. So acetyl CoA gets converted into malonyl CoA, that is now we are heading towards the de novo synthesis of the fatty acids. So how from this glucose, that is this one glucose which entered into the liver through the diet, is converted into fatty acid. So here the next enzyme here is acetyl CoA carboxylase. Again insulin stimulate this also, acetyl CoA carboxylase. Now this malonyl CoA, so this malonyl CoA ultimately from this compound, again there will be so many intermediate compounds. So from this malonyl CoA, the important substrate of triglyceride that is the fatty acid or fatty acyl CoA. Simply the fatty acyl CoA or simply the fatty acids are formed. Okay, and again the enzyme here is fatty acid synthase complex or just fatty acid synthase. Okay, so these are the enzymes. So I'll write here also fatty acid synthase complex. So these are the de novo synthesis of the fatty acid synthase. Again it is stimulated. So you can see out of this 9 enzymes what we have shown, only one is inhibited. Okay, so now here this one acetyl CoA carboxylase, again it's a very important enzyme here. Again here it is a rate limiting enzyme, and the important component here is malonyl CoA. Now malonyl CoA will inhibit the conversion of fatty acid to mitochondria, that is beta oxidation of fatty acid in the mitochondria. That beta oxidation takes place in the mitochondria, so it will convert the fatty acid which is formed, or it will prevent the fatty acid to enter into the mitochondria, and beta oxidation or utilization of that fatty acid is prevented. And also it will stimulate the synthesis of fatty acids by fatty acid synthase stimulation. So insulin will cause this. So here malonyl CoA will inhibit one very important pathway here known as carnitine shuttle. Okay, carnitine shuttle, that is the carnitine acyl transferase CAT1 or palmitoyl, or simply you can remember carnitine shuttle pathway. So this carnitine shuttle, that is fatty acids, is taken back into the mitochondria for beta oxidation. This is prevented by this malonyl CoA. Okay, this is prevented by the enzyme this intermediate malonyl CoA. So insulin and citrate will stimulate this. So insulin and citrate will stimulate this acetyl CoA carboxylase. So this enzyme acetyl CoA carboxylase we already discussed. Insulin will stimulate, also this citrate will stimulate this acetyl CoA and carboxylase, and it is inhibited by the glucagon and fatty acids. So ultimately fatty acid is formed. Okay, but ultimately what we want is the storage form as triglycerides. So the triglycerides is nothing but fatty acids plus glycerol. Fatty acid plus glycerol. So when the fatty acids and glycerol, that is the glycerol 3-phosphate more specifically, so when there is union of this glycerol 3-phosphate and the fatty acid or fatty acyl CoA, then triglycerides are formed, or earlier it was known as triacylglycerol. It is also known as triglyceride, that is the storage form. Okay, so fatty acid plus glycerol 3-phosphate will lead to the formation of triglycerides. Okay, now here again from the malonyl CoA to the formation of the fatty acid, it requires energy. So here one more pathway, that is from this glucose 6-phosphate, one more pentose phosphate pathway, PPP. Okay, so it will release the very high energy compound NADPH. Okay, so for the conversion or formation of the fatty acid, NADPH is also required. It is the energy, and that is generated by this pathway PPP, pentose phosphate pathway. Okay, so for this glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, that is from this compound glucose 6-phosphate, it will undergo into pentose phosphate pathway, and here it is the enzyme's most important rate limiting enzyme here is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. Now insulin will stimulate this also for the generation of this NADPH, because NADPH is also required for the synthesis of the fatty acids. So again I will write here one more enzyme, that is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. Okay, glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. Okay, now as I said, with this pathway fatty acids, de novo synthesis of the fatty acids are found, but ultimately the storage form is triglycerides, and triglyceride nothing but glycerol 3-phosphate and fatty acids combined together that are known as triacyl glycerol, or storage form, that is the triglycerides. Okay, now how this glycerol 3-phosphate is formed? Fatty acid is formed through this pathway, that is de novo synthesis of fatty acid in the cytosol here. So now how this glycerol 3-phosphate is formed? Again, so this, as you can see, this glycolysis pathway, in this glycolysis pathway, the intermediate one, dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Okay, now this intermediate pathway ultimately gets converted into glycerol 3-phosphate. Okay, so again the enzyme here is glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. Glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. Okay, so glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase, ultimately it is glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase is formed. Okay, and also some amount of the glycerol, glycerol is also present. Some amount of the glycerol is also present in the cytosol, which is taken from the blood directly. So this glycerol is also converted to glycerol 3-phosphate. Okay, so this glycerol is also converted to glycerol 3-phosphate by a very important enzyme known as glycerol kinase. Okay, so glycerol kinase, so it is also stimulated by the insulin, that is glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase and also glycerol kinase. So I'll just write the one more enzymes here. The 11th one, glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase, and or this one, glycerol kinase. So this glycerol kinase is present only in liver and kidney. This enzyme glycerol kinase is absent in other cells, especially the adipose tissue. We will discuss the role of this glycerol kinase in the adipose tissue. Okay, now very important one more enzyme here is, that is, I said the triglycerides are formed by the union of the glycerol 3-phosphate and fatty acids, and this is catalyzed by one more important enzyme known as acyltransferase. Okay, so this reaction is catalyzed by acyltransferase, and ultimately your end product triglycerides or triacyl glycerol are formed. Triglycerides, that is the storage form. Okay, so here one more enzyme I will just write, the acyltransferase. So you can see here I just enumerated around 12 enzymes. Okay, so out of that only one is inhibited by the insulin, rest all are stimulated by the insulin. So this enzymes, first 3 enzymes of glycolysis, then in the mitochondria, then again in the cytoplasm, that is the de novo, these enzymes are in the de novo synthesis of the fatty acids, and for the formation of the glycerol 3-phosphate, that is fatty acid combines with the glycerol 3-phosphate to form triglycerides. Okay, so the basically triglycerides, what is this triglycerides? It's basically glycerol molecules along with fatty acids. Okay, so consider this as triglyceride molecule. Okay, triglyceride molecule. Now this triglyceride molecule has to transfer into the adipose tissue. Okay, so I think the video is going very long, so I'll just stop here and we'll continue in the next video. So I'll just quickly revise what we have studied now, how the triglyceride molecule is formed, by the glucose. Okay, how the triglyceride molecule is formed by the glucose, that is, once the glucose enters, so the first thing is, first group of glucose, that is, it will get converted into energy by undergoing glycolysis and Krebs cycle, that is stimulated by the insulin molecule. Second group, that is, once the energy is required energy is attained, then it's got converted into glycogen. Glycogen has its own limits. Maximum can store up to 500 gram in our total adult. Then excess of glucose, that is the third group of glucose, which is entering with the help of the GLUT2 into the liver, finally forms the fatty acids and triglycerides. And what is the fate of this triacylglycerol, and how this triacylglycerol or triglycerides are stored in the adipose tissue, we are going to discuss in the next video. So please subscribe our channel for our next video. Thank you.